Hi everyone. Dementia residents would say you've got to upgrade your thinking and keep your thinking clear, and you've got to want to do it. No one else can do it for you. There's no point mucking around. These dementia residents were high achievers, big sheep farms, cattle farms in the South Island here in New Zealand, children to private schools, many of them elite athletes. So they knew what hard work is. And once they clicked into this fact that from physical hard work, they could now start to bring that ethos, that hard work ethos to their thinking. They were high achievers in that. So in the dementia unit, at least with all the restrictions that, that they were subjected to, at least they could have at times when they were able to get this thinking and click this thinking into gear, they could have autonomy over their thinking, control over their thinking. And this was just a great relief for them because, to be subjected to dementia spin and stress is no life for anyone. But when they could click into this other channel of thinking where they could have that focused concentration, both for their own autonomy and for the group effort, communicating with each other on this topic, they found it very invigorating. And there were some marvellous examples, marvellous experiences that many of the residents had that I was privileged enough to be privy to. One of these, the residents, was a potato farmer and a big sheep farmer, really hard worker. He had massive great shoulders. Even when he was in the dementia unit, I think he worked practically right up to the point where he came into the unit, judging by his physique. He was the guy that managed to sort of haul all the chairs around for the women when they wanted to sit in the sun, the sunny alcoves. Actually, it was from that point that he realised there was some benefit in the work, like, in the thinking workshops, as the residents called them. Before that, he wasn't interested. He couldn't see the point. But once he was hauling around these chairs and seeing, the smiles that he got from all the women as a result of that, because of that, he came to the workshops. And once he started realising, what did he say? The thinking. That this thinking applies to all work. Yeah, that's what he said. To upgrade your thinking, you've got to upgrade your thinking for all the work, all your work, whether it's potato farming or sheep farming or being in another place like a dementia unit. Upgraded thinking helps a lot because for him, his greatest stress, he said to me, in terms of the dementia stress, was that he was unable to keep his thinking clear enough to make a decision. He couldn't clarify his thoughts to be able to make a decision. That was the main stress. And a third of the residents felt the same, this inability to have clarity of thinking so that they couldn't make decisions for themselves was the biggest stress for quite a number of them, which I actually found quite interesting. So anyway, back to the potato farmer. So in the group, it was actually really good having him in the group because, there were I think there was only one other man in the group at the time and he didn't contribute very much. But at least this potato farmer was very generous to the other woman, very kind and a good contributor, and physically in terms of setting up all the furniture where everyone wanted it. And also he made a lot of effort as well. I mean, his efforts for all his life had been on the farm. I mean, he hadn't, he wasn't a big reader, but he did think, he had to think, and it was all logistics of farm work is enormous. And there's so many decisions to be made on a farm to be able to make it successful and financial and run smoothly. So decision making for him was important, essential. And he was so relieved when he could start to get some autonomy in his thinking and be able to make those decisions, just like being able to move the chairs up to the window seat for all the lovely ladies. I mean, that's a decision. And to be able to speak up for the group that, we need to upgrade our thinking. That's another decision, a proactive decision. So his quality of life was good, was, high grade, upgraded at the dementia unit. Unfortunately, sadly, of course, these people don't have autonomy over their own lives and their own decision. because, you know, the power of attorney has that, sadly. And this lovely man was at the unit for 3 years, and so fabulous to have him in the unit and in the group. But his son decided to take him off to another dementia unit, sadly, because it was nearer him, and he didn't visit very much anyway. Anyway, these tragic things happen in dementia units, tragic. So I don't know what the facility was like that he went to, you know, and whether the son would even visit much when he was there, but they just, sometimes the relatives just don't consider, you know. I mean, he was doing so well, he was making friends, he was settled, he was, you know, contributing in the workshops, but the son never came to the workshops or could see the contribution he was making or the friends he was making, and thought that he was the solo, you know, friend in the man's life or relative in the man's life. And so that's why he took him off to be closer, which in a limited sense, you know, you can see that thinking, but it's good to really take into perspective the whole picture of your parent. You know, if you're going to move them to another facility, if they're really unhappy, if they're not making friends, if they're unsettled, if they're angry, if they're upset, fine, take them to a place nearer you if you can give them more support. But if they're happy and settled and making friends, why uproot them, you know? That's really the decision that needs to be made when you're going to, you know, move anyone on. Oh, that was a sad day when I was there actually when he left. I felt so sad about that. But yeah, there's nothing you can do. You can only really help these people when you're at present in their lives the best way you can. And he had a good life for those 3 years when he was with us in the dementia unit. So we just all waved goodbye and wished him the best. That's, you know, all that one can do. Anyway, so with this group of women, you know, now it was down to the women. There were no men now, except for this one man that didn't contribute much. But still, the efforts went on with the thinking. And with one of the residents was university lecturer. She was actually one of the leaders of the group, really intelligent, you know, pithy, but she didn't speak much. But when she did, it was powerful. And with this big workshop we had on upgrading our thinking, she just said, well, at least we're doing something. And the other woman, who was a really big, she had the biggest South Island sheep farm in New Zealand. I found that out through someone, word of mouth. You know, the biggest sheep farm to manage the biggest station in New Zealand, the South Island, is a massive accomplishment. So she was a highly accomplished woman, you know, along with her husband, no doubt, I presume. Anyway, she said, we've got to keep the good thoughts going and make sure that you get there. So this was the thing with all these people, these three in particular, the two females that had been on big farms and the potato farmer, also on a big farm, was this whole aspect of achievement. You've got to get there. You know, you work hard, think hard work ethos, and you've got to get there. You've got to manage the farm, take out the tussocks, you know, shear the sheep, do what you have to do. So once they got into this good, strong, positive thinking focus, that hard work ethos they could easily translate to their thinking. And they worked hard at it. They worked hard at their thinking, and that's why they could settle down their dementia stress, refocus and channel their thinking to constructive, high-grade, high-quality, well-focused, well-concentrated thinking. And they did well. They had autonomy over their thoughts, autonomy over their own inner life at least. And from that, you know, they were happier, they could make friends, they settled at their unit, and it wasn't a bad life at all. Not a bad life at all. In fact, quite a good life for some of them. So there you have it. So I've written these two books, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise from a Dementia Unit. All the information in there. If you like reading, please get them. It's on Amazon and also on my website, www.pietavalentine.com. Lots of information there, and thank you for your looks and your likes and your comments and your feedback. I'm noticing, you know, those from previous videos. I really appreciate the input and the comments, and I'm very happy to reply. Thank you.